Welcome to this webinar of Ventra Twins and Selfly Store. The theme of today's webinar here is staying relevant in the new era of vending. My name is Aslak de Silva. I'm the CEO of Selfly Store. We have customers in 17 European countries and been here for a few years. Today I will be talking about big trends on the vending industry, but also sharing some data which might be interesting to you as well. This is a live webinar, so we want to be a bit interactive. So we will have a Menti poll where you can actually answer a few questions now and see what you think of some data points. And later on in the webinar, I will then cover what the data from Selfly Store cabinets show. But also in the end, after the keynote part, you'll be able to ask questions. And then another code will appear, and then you can ask those questions and post, and I'll be here answering those if you have any. But it's an interesting time. Let's see what we'll cover here today. Welcome. First of all, if you want to look at some big trends that are actually happening now and shifting the vending industry. A lot of people start talking about data. And when we look at the data, what's happening with the data from e-commerce sites, from others, so data has always been there. Vending industry, on the other hand, has basically not been using data so much. We do have solutions that calculate real time what has been sold and when, but I think this is a trend that we should pay way more focus on. Every other company who operates in any merchant businesses use data a lot. Consumers, on the other hand, are also looking for easiness. We all know that after COVID-19 or even during that, so our routines were changed a lot. We were looking for what do we get quickly for us. Our maybe where we live and where we walk around has been way smaller than before. And when we go somewhere, when we travel, so we want something quick and easy. So this is a huge trend that's happening and has happened a lot of time already before. Also due to COVID as well, cashless payments are even more popular than ever before. Solutions from Apple Pay and others are there on the hands of consumers. Especially if you travel internationally, it's way easier to actually not to have any cash at hand and just use your credit cards or phones to pay. And this is also seen a lot with consumer behaviors. You pre-book, you pay on the go and make it easy for you. At the same time, travelers or if you work, so our routes when they change, so we look for solutions where we can just quickly get something. So self-service is becoming more and more. Nowadays we know how to order food home. We go to the website and list the things that we want and grocery store will deliver. We get food home the same way. We kind of want to service other that's more convenient for us and get the things that we want at that time. Similarly, we might not anymore carry lunch boxes to the offices. We might not work there from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5 the same way. We skip the day halfway and then go somewhere. So wherever we are, we actually, if we have a need, so we just look around and want to see what we can buy and get if you're thirsty or hungry for a snack. The trend in ready-made meals is growing a lot. A lot of restaurants are packing them. People might not go anymore to eat in the restaurants or canteens the same way. We want, again, ready-made meals still are nutritious and we are buying them more and more. If you go to any grocery store, you will see this trend heavily invested there. There's salads to kind of big portions, even to steaks and other things that we were never thinking before. Also the frozen goods are there and many people are using the convenience, the quickness of it. You can store it for longer time, which then at the same time is good for food waste. So we are paying, and consumers are paying way more attention to the food waste than ever before. And unfortunately, almost 1/3 of the food that we buy is going to be wasted at the moment. So there's going to be a lot more attention to that, how to limit the food waste. At the same time, not only food waste, but the healthy food trend is growing. People, when we are sitting home, we might not be walking the same way or exercising as before COVID. So nowadays, we also pay a lot more attention, or there's a huge trend to pay attention to the healthy foods. And these are some trends for vending industry to cover. If you can be here and at present with these trends, you are already relevant. But let's look at what's the story a bit on the vending machines. Of course, marketplaces and others were born and people were having some sort of sales. They brought goods and sold already thousands of years ago. Based on history and the knowledge, so the first vending machines were actually about 2,000 years ago for dispensing holy water. There you put some one coin and the lever would go down and then stop pouring the water. And that way you paid for the holy water, but that also at the same time you didn't get as much as you wanted. So that was the first vending machine in the world. About 2,000 years later, in the 1880s, and maybe some decades already before or after, vending machines started to happen where people would get their newspapers or cigarettes. And in England, UK, so this was some trend that started to picking up. And then companies started to put them ready there. So then again, convenience comes there. You come with your coin and pay and buy that and get when you need it. So not only delivering newspapers on mail, but also kind of delivering them at your site where you are, and you can pick them where you are. But after that, if you look at for the next century or so, there wasn't so much development in the vending industry. Of course, you might have more beverages or snacks coming, but basically the systems were about the same. You had your coins, you go there and you get something. And mainly, if you think about it, it's more in the rush hour when you are traveling at the station or maybe a coffee machine at your office. The trend was pretty much the same. Not a lot of development during that. But now lately, in the last decade or so, we have gone more with Amazon, starting with their own Amazon Go's self-list store happening, and other businesses as well, going for unmanned retail, and even to the level where actually canteens are replaced by this kind of unmanned self-service companies delivering with vending machine food from the local restaurants and be able there for people to purchase whenever they want, whatever portion they want. But now we see these trends happening, and I think we are just starting with the changes here in this vending industry. Consumers have always had many options, but I think it's good to point out, like now when a consumer thinks that where are they going to buy something? Home delivery might be very sufficient for you when you go with that, so kind of like you know what you want. You can pick up your favorite restaurant. Nowadays it's way easier. It used to be only maybe pizza places where you could order in, but now it's open up for all the possible restaurants and everywhere in the world, so you can get what you want. Traditional stores have always been there for a long time, over 2 millennium there, where you can go and grab and buy what you want, and of course you can cook your food at home. Traditional vending, as we talked about, been there for more than a century, and unmanned stores are just about to come. E-commerce is as always an option, and for people who don't have time to travel or go for another locations, of course e-commerce is there. And now we talk about a bit in between all of these are happening, these intelligent vending solutions, which take some sides of probably all of these, but then make it convenient for the location as well to be serving goods that might not be feasible to transfer in the same way as they would be in the home delivery. The wake-up call for us in the vending industry, in my opinion, is that if you look at it, what's happened with the home delivery, if you go back 20 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to name any company who's doing this apart from those pizza places that I mentioned before. But now I'm sure that all of you know at least 2 or 3 strong brands that you know where to go for if you want food. It's not anymore the restaurants that you go for. You go for Wolt or Food or Uber Eats, whatever. You know locally that who they are in your particular market. On the other hand, if you look at the vending industry, I'm pretty sure that you cannot name as many companies unless you're really expert in the industry. You might say, I know Selecta in some countries is big, but other than that, I'm pretty sure that you cannot even name Selfless Store as a service provider, yet at least. But if you look at the market sizes, so the home delivery market, if you look at companies like DoorDash and Wolt, so DoorDash actually bought Wolt a while ago with about 8 billion USDs in valuation at that time. And if you look at the whole market on the vending industry in the US only, it's 10 billion market. Europe is almost the same. So if you look at the sizes of the markets and the potential, I do see there are lots of things happening that we should pay more and more attention to, and maybe build the brands in a way that consumers also recognize this as a solution, not only for the beverages and snacks, but also for food and other items to be purchased. So I ask all of us who are here now to kind of pay more attention to that. So what can we do? I think it's a bit of a lost opportunity. If you look at the home delivery, of course, it's convenient for the consumer, but again, it's a hassle to order and you wait. Convenience comes with when we can grab and go quickly and move forward. But why don't people use a lot to do with branding, marketing, and making the attention for the consumers to understand that what's happening close to you so that you can use them? For vending machines, there are different technologies. Which one is better depends on the situation. Traditional ones where you have this kind of a more slots or spirals pushing into the items out, and you often pay with cash. So those have been there for more than 150 years now. Then we have what we call trust-based system, where consumers, they grab their items and then scan manually to pay. These are really useful in kind of closed loop situations where you can trust the people that go. Grocery stores tend to use this a lot as well. They have a scanner and then you go and pay when you leave. But of course there's always a certain risk for the theft in that sense. So it's really what we call trust-based, that when you scan that. Cameras are coming as in everywhere. Cameras can detect and you can teach them to recognize items. So then when the consumer grabs it and goes and moves forward, so already with the camera we know that that was the item the consumer picked and you can be charged. So far still the technology is rather expensive and you need to do a lot of investment also and spend resources on developing the camera vision to understand which product you're going to sell. It's not very quick to change those products, but it's getting there for sure. Scale is one option where you can actually kind of combine better parts of these. So with the scale, you'll put the items on the same level, and then you will when the consumer picks it out from that, so they know that okay, that item was taken away. Hassle-free for consumer. When you have taken out, your payment can be that again when you open the vending machine and have put on your payment details, then you can just move forward, and when you go, so you don't need to wait anymore, you need to pay again or something. So these are very, very good systems as well. Again, the same way that you need to teach what's at what level, and you need to work a bit with the computer or whatever system you have behind to teach like what is the weight and put them evenly there, but getting more convenient for the consumer for sure, that you can just go grab and go and move forward. Similarly as with camera. And then we have RFID technology, which is then radio-based kind of tags that you put in the items, and then you can actually then dig in deeply individual items to the level and recognize what was taken. You can also code the information to the items that, for instance, expire date or even printing them visible for the consumer as well, and use that information for your inventory management or make some special sales for items that are going to expire. Similarly, all the time you have a relevant information on the inventory, and you can grab data and work with the data a lot and make some combinations of these all. Again, a bit of a hassle when you actually normally still need to use manual labor to tag each item on the goods to be sold. But then after that, of course, then for consumer experience, it's again simple and easy where you can just pick your item and move forward. You don't need to wait and pay again for anything like that. Good. But now let's see what you were answering. So we asked a couple of questions on Menti here, and let's see what you thought on some data trends that I'm gonna soon cover when we talk about what's gonna be the new era. So I'm interested in seeing like what kind of voting did you have and what kind of results there were. So a few of you have voted. Thanks for that. And if we look at what are then the results. So it seems that you say drinks and meals are equal and snacks are then at the bottom. If we kind of calculate, so you would say that maybe, so we don't have that many votes, so 15 in total here so far. So if you look at that, what's the portion, so we could say that about 40% were saying for the meals or drinks to be the most common, and then the rest in snacks. Then the other category that we were asking the questions about was that when do consumers buy? And you seem to agree here that it's more on the lunchtime, but also it can be before lunch or when you come to the office or afternoons or evenings. But lunch seems to be the biggest peak there. And then the third questions that we had was related to which day do people buy the most. And here we can see that your most common day for you seems to be Friday, and here Sunday didn't get any votes, and quite evenly then with the other days, but Friday really pointing out to be the day that you feel that people are buying the most. Let's see what the self-store data from 17 countries show. And actually here, if you look at it, so here we are talking about items sold, so not about the revenue, but items sold. But 47.7% are meals. And this is probably the trend that I was saying, that there's a new era. So if you think of a traditional vending, so you would probably think that we talk about drinks and maybe even snacks, which are actually quite evenly populated. The drinks a bit more than snacks there, but meals is the trend, and it shows that people are actually buying them for their convenience where they are, grab and go. I'm in Germany, or yesterday I was in Germany as well, so kind of like it's a new place for me. So I'm going around. I might not have time for finding good restaurants and wait for that. So for me, for instance, that was a great opportunity to find a meal and grab and go and eat it there at the hotel room. Saves me time. I'm happy with that, and when I need something, so I move forward. So it is funny to also see that, and when I talk to my friends and colleagues who hadn't seen the data before, so we were saying, a lot of were saying that chocolate bars are the ones that people buy, but actually they are only 5% of the purchases that people buy, which is really good. I feel that eating healthy is valuable for all of us. And then if you look at the trends in the world, so what kind of percentages do we see? So this compound annual growth rates, CAGR, so consumers are going for healthy and fresh. So it's going to grow, the market's going to grow more than 4% each year from now on. And the ready-made meal market the same way, more than 5% a year. So it shows that there's a lot of trend there. So if you are working with the vending industry and you have an option to offer meals, this is a strong recommendation to invest in that and start selling more meals. And as I showed, almost half of the products purchased from self-store cabinets in 17 countries were meals. So if you're not there yet, I suggest that there's a good business for you to overcome. Secondly, when we're looking at the data when people buy, so of course already your votes were going for like that there's no specific time, lunch being the peak, which is true here as well, maybe not as high of a peak as you would think. The other time, so it again 24/7 service depends on who you are and what times you work, but also since that outside of office hours we have a lot of people buying. And this is especially like if you look at canteens and having people working at the office buildings 24/7 to serve catering, it doesn't work anymore. It's very costly. So basically if you can, again, with a vending machine, offer people food around the day and be convenient for them, not just setting hours when you can eat. So I would strongly suggest to see this opportunity and use that in your favor, and also for the consumers to provide them better experience. Then we are looking at the data from which day. Of course, it depends a lot on the vending machine. Is it something that people only see during the weekends or only during the office days? But here, interestingly, you were saying that Friday would be the peak day to buy, but based on the data that we have, it's Tuesday. But the differences are very minimal. But you can see the trend that from Monday, not that many people may be at the offices. Tuesdays, Thursdays, we have all heard about the hybrid work model that maybe Mondays and Fridays you're off and Tuesdays to Thursday you're working at the office with your colleagues. So this trend at least shows that as well, that those are the peak days. And then during the weekends, less purchases happening here, but as I said, it also depends on the location where these cabinets are. But based on our data, it seems that weekends people don't actually use vending machines equally much. Couple of tips then to combine for you, like, okay, how can I use this information? What should I actually focus on? Of course, always in vending machine, the top two, location and assortment, they go hand in hand. Good location, a lot of people passing by with high demands if they are thirsty or hungry. So of course that's always relevant. You can't just put the vending machine somewhere and then expect something to happen. You need to market it, and of course location is often a good marketing spot as well. If it's convenient for people, they pass by so they see that. Then the second thing, of course, is putting the assortment in a way that it serves the consumers passing by, whether what kind of meals and how you work with that. So if it's an office environment and you keep the same chicken salad and tuna fish sandwich and that's it and nothing else, you might have your water and let's say Pepsi Max is there and that's it. So people will not get excited to see what's inside, so they'll only grab when it's there and when they need it, but they might not come there to visit and see what's on sale today. And if you look at the restaurants, for instance, they often have many options, and canteens especially, they change. They might have 3 different meal options. You might have sushi Tuesdays to taco Thursdays, and that way get people more excited to come there with the new assortment there. Pricing is one, of course. I always say, people will say that, yeah, but people don't buy if it's expensive. And then I ask them, what's the price that they would buy? and certain times it's different. When you're at the airport, you will buy if you need a drink, and you will buy with whatever price that is. And then on the other hand, if you're close to your home, you might have a different price. Dynamic pricing is one tool that is often used in different situations. I know, for instance, if you look at the unfortunate situation with the energy pricing, so we see that they're changing all the time. And that makes us make the decision if we can have a chance to lock in the deal when we are happy with it. The same goes with vending machines the same way. If you sell salads for €1 to €10, the price will change the game. But also at the same time, some peak hours you might be able to charge more when you know that there are, so they're making the more profit on those times when you know that there's a demand around your cabinets there. Bundle prices is commonly used at the airport when I'm traveling. So there was like 2 water bottles for €5.50 and 1 water bottle for €3. Surprisingly, many consumers think that I need to buy 2 because then it's a bargain for me. And this also the same way works in vending machines, that the more and more you introduce to people to kind of combine together, so they tend to buy more. If it's again a meal item, salad, or maybe a sandwich, and then you have a beverage and there's a combo deal price, you might go for that. Or let's say that you can put a kind of a McDonald's, that you buy the burger, fries, and the beverage, and then they're combined together 3, and you pay for 2, for instance. These people will buy more, and again, for your vending business, it's a good traction there. Expiry date, as I talked before, the food waste trend is strong there. So some people are just looking for products that are going to expire and just want to buy them. Often it's related to some discounts as well, that you get them cheaper, but for some it's in their values to buy those when they get there. That also helps you to kind of track what's there in the inventory, so that you can see that, okay, these products need to be sold, and then using then the dynamic pricing or putting a discount on them, so to get rid of the inventory. In a normal, if you look at the grocery store, so any kind of a merchant, so you should pay a lot attention to the inventory turnaround. If you stock 200 items, how long does it take to sell them? And in each item then, how long does it take to sell that item? And then replenish in a timely manner, so that when there's a high peak coming, so you are ready, but then maybe in the low peak time, it's not that important to replenish with those similar products. You might also have different products in the morning and in the evening, or for the weekend or before the weekend. So for instance, if you have an office location and you know that people want to grab, like you were thinking that on Friday people buy more and they want to get meals, so you put different meals on a good price so that you can take home to your family. And then when you come back on Monday, I don't know, people might have said that now I'll start eating a healthy life, so you put more protein bars and follow that up. So inventory management and inventory turnaround are really, really important there, and a lot to do with discounts. If you see, for instance, that some products are not going to sell, what if your price is wrong? You can then change it there. But just to make it still clear for very simple things, that maybe 3 things to pay attention to if you want to succeed in the new era of this vending business. First is the assortment. There's a lot to do with that. If you have static assortment, it might not work in a way that people just buy when they have the demand. You can have the right products at the right time and make more demand for that. So empty shelves are good when you actually move around and let people buy the assortments that they want. And as I said many times, I really hope this is a clear message, that meals are almost 50% of the products sold from self-restore cabinets in 17 countries in Europe. So if you don't have now meals on offer, so pay attention to that. A lot of money are being lost if you don't have them. And also good for you to remember that the money with meals is often way higher than with snacks. So the profit margins can be there higher as well. Of course, consumer experience is really crucial. So if you work with consumers, so the easier you make it, the more convenient, more delightful for them, the better for your business as well. So pay attention to this. Have some campaigns to make them happy, and work with those kind of changing the experience constantly. A couple of examples of different days or different purchases. If it's International Women's Day coming, what can you do then? Or for Valentine's Day, or before Christmas. So helping the consumers with the proper assortment and make their experience better, that's something to go for. Then of course the technology. You need to pay attention to the technology, if it's easy for use for the consumer, but also the data and the behind. So how can you be real-time management of the inventory, pricing and all to make it super simple. In my opinion, I used to play a lot of these computer games when I was a kid, and then I loved having my own shops, and then I was just like pressing the button on the pricing and seeing what happens. You can do this nowadays with vending machine, real vending machines, to optimize your sales and get more out of it. Very good. Great. But thank you. I hope that the content of the keynote part was useful for you. And now I will invite our CMO, Malin Östman, to help me out with the questions that you've been asking. So welcome, Malin.
Thank you, Aslak. Yes, we have a lot of questions coming in here. And the first question is about the countries and the number of machines we have. It reads like, you talk about 17 countries, but what's the amount of machines you have up and running?
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot disclose that exactly. We are owned by Stora Enso, which is a stock-listed company. So for that reason, I cannot disclose, but you can probably get an idea of something, that how much are we talking about when having seen 17 countries.
Right, thank you. We have another question here. It's about what segments do you have data from? Can you see any differences between segments?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and yes, we do see. So maybe if we do see vending machines in a lot of locations, but mainly we talk about here when self-restore cabinets that they're more on kind of semi-public areas. So we talk about offices, so kind of like I said, meals for canteens and kind of having 24/7 service there. We talk about hotels that for travelers to be there where they are. There are schools and so locations where a lot of people come for a certain time and then go away, and other kind of these different places where you can have these. But self-restore cabinets are not seen on a busy train station at the moment, or outdoors in a way that's very seldom that we would see them at the moment. So yeah.
Right. And then when you say meals, what do you mean? Do you mean prepared dishes? Would, for example, one of these typical vending sandwiches go?
Yeah, so vending sandwiches, would go for a meal. So we would here categorize in a way that some countries, I know England and even Norway, so for them a lunch is a sandwich. And then for some countries it might go for more on a concrete, bigger meal. So these would include these kind of sandwiches that you could have as a meal, salads, and there might be rice and sauce, or beef and sushi and other these kind of that. Kind of thinking that if you were to have a lunch, that would be the dish that you would eat.
Right, makes sense. And then another question, and this one is related to Ventra, actually, the fair in Germany. Were you there yourself, and what did you think about the atmosphere?
Yes, I was there actually yesterday, almost a full day. And I love the atmosphere. I was surprised in the 4 p.m. when the music started and the party got on. So that was something new for me. I like the atmosphere, and I think a lot of good discussions with different people from different industries of what's happening. I still see that we are still country by country and in a different situation with COVID. So I felt that Germany was still a bit closed compared to, for instance, Finland or Sweden, and so that the people maybe not moving as much as we would do here. Now we are in Stockholm, Sweden, so that's why I'm saying here. But it was a great event, and I was there personally. Yeah.
Right. And then another comment here. Thank you for the presentation. And exactly what makes self-restores fridges unique, and how do they help customers stay relevant in the industry?
Yes, a very good question, and thanks for asking. So self-restore is we have built this for easy commerce in a way. So we want it to be for the consumer as simple as using your home fridge, but proactively filled. At least that's something that I lack at home. That's when you open it and it's empty and it doesn't have what you want. So we work a lot with data and build up these kind of recommendation engines, first with humans to see what's happening there using the big data that we have, and then passing the information to our customers. So if you're a restaurant or a hotel or an office building or maybe a factory, so likely we have customers in that field, so we will be able to help you with that. So we have this kind of a customer success. We work with RFID products, which means that we have then item level detection. So food waste, limiting food waste, offering these kind of potential to put combo deals and at different time dynamic pricing. So this is what we do. So we kind of talk more on the holistic way. So we of course we have the actual vending machine and everything is included there. But on top of that, we have built data capabilities and have actually a customer success program to help you out to make more sales. So our goal always is that our customers will succeed, and then the end customer, the consumer, will have as easy service as possible, and they are happy with that.
Good. Thank you, Aslak. We have another question about the freezer. We're about to launch the freezer, but in what environments would that one suit, do you think?
Yes, that's a good question. So for freezer, there are many things. Of course, we first and foremost think of ice cream. At least I do. I'm not sure if you might,
Yeah, I do
but where's that convenient? And especially if it's a hot day, where to get that? So of course, that's one use case. Is for these kind of products that we tend to lack at the offices. I don't mind having in office and with ice cream. So I think we have some ice cream machines already in the vending machines, but here you can get a different assortment. But also frozen meals is a huge thing. And many times if you work for long hours, so you would be happy to just to get the frozen meal there, and just whether it's a pizza or something else, or pasta, so you can just put in the microwave and heat it up. So I do see that being a big and a good viable solution for many, limiting the food waste, being very convenient, and still have enough energy for people, especially like in factories or offices where you kind of lack those at the moment, or it's not convenient. Not only for the freezer, but sometimes like when we work in the tall buildings, so it's a hassle to go to the canteen. It takes 10 minutes to go there. There's a lot of queue there. It's not nice. You spend your lunch hour queuing and waiting, and then you eat quickly and go back. What if you got it there close to you quickly, and then you would actually spend the hour resting and doing some fun stuff with your colleagues?
Totally agree with you. I've been hustling around in those queues as well, so agree. Then there's a question here, which I interpret in this way. I'm not sure if I'm interpreting it right, but is there a specific item in the fridge which people tend to order based on consumption that we can see?
There are items, of course, depending on again in the assortment. So it's good to remember that if you go to a grocery store, you might have 10,000 different items. Here you might have, depending on customer, maybe some tens of items different. But have to say that if you look at the really big data and look at single items, so surprisingly it's Pepsi Max that has been sold the most, and so as a single item.
Yep.
But so yeah, I don't know what that tells about us, but it's required. So which also shows that it's in the right spot.
Yes.
And then we come to the like I said, the meal items. But of course that is depending on also what's in the offer. So what will sell. But salads and sandwiches, they sell a lot.
We have the last question here, and that reads, how do you stay on people's minds as a brand if you compare to Volt or Lifrando, as you've mentioned? How do we do that?
Yeah, and that's a good question, and I hope to come back to that more in the upcoming webinars as well. But it's a lot about the branding itself, like where your intelligent vending machine is, for instance, and how does it look like. At Selfish Store, we have those screens on top where you can actually get people in and have like flash sales or have nice photos to promote what you have inside. And sometimes it can be that you just have people there next to it and say that, hey, come and test it out, have this promotion. So my dream, for instance, is that when we have like Valentine's Day, so you would have it there ready, or for International Women's Day, why don't you offer a free rose for every woman who comes to buy? So these things make it more common. And again, routines come when you have maybe used 20 times, so then you're getting kind of more familiarized with it. And this is the same if you look at the data from the food delivery companies. So this is exactly what they're doing. They're heavily marketing, trying to get people hooked, and when they're hooked with that one system, they're happy. So in the same way, I see that in the vending industry, that we should make people kind of come back and go more often, make it more exciting as an experience, and even do marketing. So I'm saying that, for instance, we have capabilities to build geo-targeted marketing on social media, for instance, so that if you have your on your phone that where you're located on, and you get some targeted advertisement on social media that you're looking at, hey, here you have a Selfish Store, why did you come and buy a salad? Or it's showing the inventory, for instance, that, hey, here we have the latest ice cream for you to pick up, now it's a hot day. So these things are there. And still saying that if the experience is great, the assortment is good, so people will come back. an example, for instance, if it's a hot day and you go to a vending machine and it has a lot of good cold drinks there, you're happy. If there's none, so you get upset and you will not come back. So consumers are pretty harsh on this, that if you fail to deliver, so they might not come back.
Thank you, Aslak. That was the very last question. Do you want to say a few concluding words?
Yeah, so hey, thanks for joining. I mean, that's super interesting, and thanks for the questions. I hope you picked up some ideas that the vending industry is now, we are going to a new era, and it's going to change the game. We are not the biggest yet, but still, if we look at the numbers, so in US $10 billion dollars market, Europe almost the same. So it's a big market, but we are maybe not known. So now it's the time to make us more visible, make the assortment in a way that people will love it, use the data to actually change the game, that people will understand that vending machines are not for only beverages or maybe chocolate bars or snacks, so it can be something else. And if you are interested in joining, we have other webinars coming actually soon, where we will talk about real customer cases and the use of data in more depth. So please join us and follow us on social media. And myself personally, I'm super interested in learning who's there. So please find me on LinkedIn, for instance, and there's only one Aslak de Silva in the world as far as I know. So connect there and start talking and ask questions. I'm more than happy to answer questions and connect with like-minded people. So thanks for joining, and thanks, Mali, for joining me as well here.
Thank you.